dating coach and relationship expert Jennifer Hurwitz, and welcome to Doing Relationships Right. Raw, authentic, and insightful, this podcast is a no bullshit look at all things dating and relationships. The good, the not so good, and the what the hell was that? No worries, I've got you, and we'll figure it all out together without taking ourselves too seriously here on Doing Relationships Right. Here you are at midlife. Your boobs have entered a new zip code. You have jeans older than your daughter's new fiance. And now you're single again. But is that cause for a crisis? Hell no. It's time to pick yourself up, buttercup. Whether you're freshly unhitched, just dipping your toesies back into the dating pool, or ready to dive into a new relationship, my new book, Midlife Priceless, a dating coach's guide to finally doing relationships right, has you covered with new dating and relationship advice tailored to meet you wherever you are in your relationship journey. Join me, Jennifer Hurwitz, author of best-selling books, One Happy Divorce and Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, as I share BS-free tips and laugh out loud personal anecdotes to help set you on the path toward finally doing dating and relationships right. Grab your copy of my new book, Midlife Priceless, at jenniferhurwitz.com. That's jenniferhurwitz.com. Good morning. Good morning. This is Doing Relationships Right. I'm Jennifer Hurwitz, and I'm your host every now and then. I don't know. I'm back. Hi, I'm back. And this is Tuesday. It's Podcast Tuesday. You guys heard, if you're hanging around, you heard my Thursday episode last Thursday on my birthday. I turned 50-ish, and I did my first episode back in a long, long time. I hadn't been back in a long time, and I did it by myself. It was kind of a little teaser. It was a little teaser last week. I said I was having Jim back, and I lied. But he's back. He's back. Jim Healey is back. He's here with me now. Hi, Jim.
Hello again.
Oh, he's back. It's been a long time. I'm getting a little choked up.
Choked up?
Yeah. I'm glad you're back. It's been a long time.
I'm glad to be back.
I'm happy you're here. So for those of you who don't know about Jim Healey, I told you to do your homework. I told you to listen to some episodes that Jim was on before. I asked you to get my book, Midlife Priceless, and to read up on it and to catch up on our story. But for those of you who don't know, who are new listeners, welcome to Doing Relationships Right. Let me give you a little background quickly for all you new listeners. Jim is my person. Jim has been on the podcast a number of times since 2017 when the podcast started. In 2017, that's a long time ago, it was Doing Divorce Right. Then it became Doing Relationships Right. And the highest downloads, the most downloaded episodes of all my episodes ever have been with Jim. So I'm just grateful to have you back.
That's because I listened 100 times.
Maybe. Is it you?
I think so.
It's you listening. That's good to know. But I'm grateful to have you back, baby, and to have you back in my life, back on the show, and back beside me as my partner through this craziness.
Is partner really the proper term?
I don't think so. We talked about this in one of our episodes before. Partner is kind of like not the proper term. So what do we call? I don't know.
I guess it is the proper term. It just sounds
my partner. It's so lame. My boo,
boyfriend,
my bae.
I don't know.
My daddy.
Your kids just vomited, I think.
Oh my God, my kids did just vomit. What, you said that the other day in front of Zach, something like, get daddy the garbage bag.
It's just so creepy.
It's so creepy.
I love to say it just to creep you out. It's the best.
You creep me out. You creep my kids out. You creep everybody out. I mean, it's just the creepiest. But I can't start this podcast today without saying a little something for Israel. I stand with Israel. I do. I'm looking at Jim. I do. I'm a Jewish female. I'm a strong Jewish woman, and I can't say it without. I don't want to get upset. I don't want to get political. I don't want to bring. Actually, I do want to get political. I don't really care if I lose some listeners here. But yes, I'm Jewish. Yes, I stand for Israel, and yes, I am sad for everything that's going on in the world. I can barely even turn off the television. I can't get out of bed. I'm very sad. Yeah. So this is Tuesday, and we're recording. Actually, we're recording before my birthday, even. So yeah. It's been a rough week.
It certainly has for everyone involved. And, I think even despite that, you care about the loss of life, for anybody. And you don't want any innocence, getting injured or collected in this thing. So it's just an ugly situation.
It's awful.
So
with that said, just be kind to one another and hug each other tightly. And I don't know. just sad. Anyway, so we're going to move on. And we're going to talk about, we're going to unpack our story a little bit, and we're going to share with you what happened over the last year. And the reason why we are doing this, and I asked Jim to come on the show, is because I think that, as a coach and doing what I've been doing for the past, 7 years, it's been that long, 3 books, this podcast, being a certified divorce specialist, blah, blah, blah. I think that it was very difficult for me over the past year to make the mistakes I made, to admit the mistakes I made, and to own my shit again. My divorce was really tough on me, to hold myself accountable for the things that I knew that I did wrong in that situation. And I think that both Jim and I, if I can speak for you, I think we both, well, there's a lot of things. I don't think we, let's just start at the beginning.
A long time ago in a galaxy far away.
I think that in my episode by myself, like last week, I think if you want to go back and listen, you can get some of my take on it. But I'm just going to ask Jim a couple questions. Like, first of all, I'll start with you. But I think that we had different versions of our breakup last May. Mm-hmm. First of all, I felt like it was last May, and you definitely think it was June.
It was June 6th.
Oh, it was June 6th.
Yes.
Wow. Look at that. So first of all, I thought we were broken up before we were. In my head.
I've been there before.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah. And we have,
I think many men experience that. Like the wives are done or the girlfriend's done.
Yeah.
And then she finally has the courage to say whatever. And then you're like, oh my God, where did this come from?
You're like, what do you mean you're leaving?
I think many men fall in that boat.
I think you're right. And I think that I had worked it out in my head, and I was seeing a therapist, and I was talking to her about breaking up. I had talked to my family about breaking up. And I
think you'd pretty much gotten a billboard about breaking up. I mean, practically everyone but me knew, I think.
I'm sorry for that.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knew but you. And I feel like,
and part of that's just my own kind of stupidity or
I don't think you're stupid.
Ignorance. I guess just ignorance is probably a better term.
Well, I think you were avoiding.
Yeah, totally. Yep, I certainly was.
Can I call you an avoidant?
Oh, I definitely have an avoidant attachment style.
And I have an anxious one.
Yes. And we go together.
Like
glue and glitter.
Like peanut butter and jelly.
Yes. You're the chocolate and peanut butter. Reese's for the win.
You're the pumpkin to my spice.
Yes.
I mean, that's it. We definitely, and I think that is the most common attachment style. In fact, it is the most common attachment style. So,
interaction, you mean? Between the two.
Yes, the most common relationship that happens is avoidant and anxious. And
we love each other. We definitely link up and frequently. So those styles.
We broke up a lot. I think we.
Yeah.
I think I cried wolf a lot during our relationship.
Sure. Yeah, I would agree.
And I think that as an anxious person, anxious attachment style, whatever, we do that. We tend to do that. We tend to break up to see how much you care.
Yep.
We're like, I'm going to break up with him today, see if he really wants me, instead of, because you don't use your words as much as I would like you to. So I needed to see.
Sure.
Right. So, and we've been working on this. We're in therapy.
Yep.
Which I'm really proud of you, Jim.
Yep. And if you do research on it too, I mean, it's like you think everybody thinks they're different, but when you do a little research on it, there's amazing how common you are. Like you read, it's like, oh, I did that, and she did that, and oh, and I did this, and and it's story after story of the exact same things. Yeah. So, therapists and the people in the business are like, as soon as you walk in the door, they know probably 90% of your story.
And I think I did send you quite a few things and tried to therapy you a little bit during our relationship. And I think you were like, no, I'm good.
I was definitely avoidant about that, which is also a part of being an avoidant attachment style, is that we will, the very last straw, we will engage, some type of outside help or whatever. Like it's just who we are as people. And, if you read up on that attachment style, it's like the last thing we do is accept any help.
Right. And I was basically threatening, saying, look, if we don't go to therapy, I'm out. And I think,
and we need something terrible to happen for us to make that most of us need something terrible to happen for us to make that jump.
And I think the terrible thing was me breaking up with you. And I don't think you ever believed I was going to do it for real, because I cried wolf so many times. I'm leaving. I can't take this anymore. We'd break up for 5 minutes. We'd get back together. It was like this, we'd have great sex. We'd go, whatever it was, and then I finally said,
we'd have what?
We'd have great relations. Great relations.
Yes. I just wanted that out there on the record.
Yes, thank you. Great relations. We did. We still do. That was another thing. But I mean, and I was also seeing a therapist, and I am a coach. And so coaches need coaches. And I was in therapy, and I was working on, I couldn't work anymore. I felt like I was doing so much work, and I couldn't do
and I
it
was
alone.
Definitely doing none. So.
You were thank you. I appreciate you admitting that. He was definitely doing none.
Yep.
And, I just was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And then, oddly enough, I was done. And I think I moved much quicker into a next relationship because I was done in my head and you were not. And, you blocked me, if I could, right?
Yeah. I mean,
which is what you should do. I tell all my clients, block her, do whatever, block him.
Yeah. I couldn't, you have public accounts, and I knew if you weren't blocked, then in fact, there was one time I, considered unblocking, and then his thing was Facebook or something, was like, if you unblock, you can't reblock for 48 hours. So like, thank you, Zuckerberg. You're like the only person that saved me. Cause like, if I could block and unblock, like I probably would have yo-yoed, but like I couldn't do that. And I was like, oh shit, if I unblock her, she could see that I'm unblocked within those 2 days. So I just said, oh fuck. And I didn't unblock because of Zuckerberg.
Well, the craziest thing for me is that everyone was still friends with you. Yes. All of my family, because we were together for so long. And so my brother and my husband, who's really you're friends with, and, all my friends like, oh, Jim's doing this. And I'm like, okay, it was really hard. And then I was trying to move on, and had this new man in my life, and I thought, oh, this is it. It's my ticket out of here. And, we started off like, it was great. Like it was just love bombing, like the most fabulous relationship ever at the beginning. And it was like, oh my God, this is my dream man. Everything is perfect. And and then it all went to shit. So it's like, you just, to be perfectly honest.
Yes. And same for me. Like I would get, I didn't have spies, but people like, oh, did you hear Jen mentioned you on the podcast, or Jen
wrote a book about you,
or Jen, send me a photo of you and the new guy. And, it was just like, oh, it was just, it was not good. So rough times for sure.
Yeah, it was hard. And I think that I was trying to what's the word?
Relationship me.
Out relationship you. Like out anything. Like I was trying to just like anything I could do to get you out of me, like out of my head. And, as a coach, you think to yourself, like, I knew what I was doing. And if I was coaching me, I would have lost my mind. Like I would have, and I was just talking myself into this relationship and
overlooking things
that were like, oh my God, y'all, please. Like, I can't even tell you like every red flag that was there. And even my girlfriends and other coaches and that were like, Jennifer, this is, and I'm like, oh no, it's beige or it's pink. And, and I just was just it's embarrassing. And it was really hard for me.
Sure.
But yeah, so then I just kept going, and I wrote another book, and then, I was masking everything, my emotions, my feelings. I was just digging into something else.
Yep.
Whether it was writing or producing a book or having a party or,
Yep.
It was crazy. So
I think that's pretty common.
So Jim,
yes.
What did you, I'm going to ask you some questions over the last year. Like what did you do? What was you met someone, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I was in, I couldn't sleep. Clearly had no problem eating, but I couldn't sleep.
No, you lost a lot of weight.
I lost some, but anyway, it's a journey, but, I just, that's kind of what drove me, one of the things that drove me to seek some therapy and stuff was, I just wasn't sleeping. And I was like, dude, if I don't start talking to a professional about this, I'm going to lose my mind. So I started seeing a therapist who was great, and did some research and listened to some podcasts and read some books. And, there you go. It's just in black and white reading, it's like, oh, that was me. And, the exact worst things that you could say an avoidant can say to an anxious person. Like I said, it was like exact. I was like, oh my God, I said those exact words
to Jen.
To Jen. I said those exact words to Jen, and they're in a book. And it's like, so that means there must be, hundreds of other avoidants that said those exact words to their anxious person. But I had said that
to you, right? Like millions of times, like, Jim, you cannot say that to me.
Yes, of course.
But in one ear out the other.
Yes, so. but like, anyway, it was.
But thank you for.
Yeah. So I did that. And then, for several months. And then, I was like, dude, she's not coming back. Like, you need to move on with your life. I mean, that's, you're not getting any younger, and, let's see.
And we didn't talk.
Let's see not, basically never,
mm-hmm.
I mean, you maybe when my dad passed and stuff, but that was about it. So anyway, it was just, I just was like, I better, get down the road here because she's not coming back. And, I told friends you were never coming back, and we were 100% done. And, now here I am.
And by the way, as a coach, I'm like, you never get back together with your ex.
Yeah.
And I'm watching all this stuff and I'm thinking, as my life is unraveling, and I'm like, I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, everything about this relationship that I was in was so the opposite of the healthy parts
ish.
Of, well, ish, but, and I kept thinking, God, if only I could get like,
meld,
like the good parts of my relationship with Jim, if I could if he would only work on X, Y, or Z, right? And he would, if he went to therapy and this, blah, blah. Well, meanwhile, as this is all happening, jump forward, I end up, I went, you all know, you follow me. I went to Palm Desert with this person, and we created this fake bullshit life that was like, just like, oh, for fuck's sake, you couldn't even imagine as I'm sharing it. And I had to get out of there. I was like, this is not me. This is not who I am. This is not, I'm being silenced. I can't voice. I didn't feel like I was being authentic. I stopped podcasting. I just turned inward, and I was like, it was bad. All of it was bad. And so when I got home, we ended things, and I just remember being like, you know what? It just felt wrong. Everything felt wrong. And when I connected back with you, we touched base, and then you had told me, like, I was in therapy for a year, and I blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I only wanted, like, it's only exactly what I was.
You were pretty pissed.
I was pissed. I was like, what do you mean you went to therapy for a year? What do you mean you did X, Y, or Z? Like the way you had evolved in a year and the work that you did, Jim, like, so proud of you. Like,
thank you.
Yeah. I mean, you just really did such a.
Yeah, it's really worth it. I mean, if you're listening to this and you're a guy and you think you don't need help, I think anybody could benefit from some level of, therapy. And if your spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever is asking for it, I mean, if you care about that person, I think it's well within your, you really need to go out and listen to them and consider, having couples therapy or having solo therapy if, it's tough to admit that you've got, that you're not perfect, or that you've got, or you say, oh, I'm not perfect, but I X, Y, and Z, which was what I always said. And I think you need to own it, and it's okay to get, to talk to someone, and it's going to make you a better human. And that's what I said to my therapist. I was like, she's like, why are you here? I was like, I just want to be a better human because, I haven't been doing things the right way. And I just need to work on me. So that's what I did.
Yeah, you did. And even talking to you that one night that we had drinks, and I had no intention, you had a girlfriend, and we both were like, this is not going anywhere. Like, we knew, like, I wasn't planning on getting back together with you. You weren't either. We both knew that, like, it was over, but I just couldn't believe the person that you had, like, you were just so mature. And, and then when we finally decided, like, we were going to try this, and we both said we wanted to go to couples therapy, like, that was like part of the deal. Like, we were not getting back together if we weren't going to put the work in.
Sure.
And we started Gottman therapy, which is all about, like, transforming conflict into connection, which, if anybody's out there right now and they're thinking about doing couples therapy, I think Imago therapy and Gottman are two types of therapy that are really just profoundly like life-changing. Basically it just helps you fix the way you fight. And I think that we needed to fix the way that fight. Yeah. I mean, right. Yeah. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, don't you think we are so different now than we were?
Yes. Yeah. I think
it's crazy, right?
We interact, when we get triggered, we interact far better now than we did. And we recognize, old patterns or things that could be going off the rails, and we try to redirect that before it happens.
I mean, even our podcast right now, like I think if you listen to earlier podcasts, we even like, I mean, I was like, people said I was emasculating or that I was like over the top and I was nasty. I'm like, I just can't even, that even hurt me. Like I felt like, oh my God, was I really that way? And I felt like I was just kidding, but clearly people thought that I was mean. So that hurt my heart, So, I did work too. I was still seeing a therapist, and I recently was also I was in so much therapy, I couldn't do any more therapy, I want to thank, Dr. Terry Mack, if you guys know who she is, she's amazing. I worked with her and Susie Kamen and all these great people. So it's just super important, I think, also that we recognize like how much work we did. And I just appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. That's it. I mean, it's good stuff. It's a bunch of good shit. But okay, so questions. Here's some questions. If you have, like, what was your biggest regret? It's fine. We're worried about the computer. We're good.
And with the screensaver.
Oh, the screensaver. No worries about the screensaver, darling. I'll fix it.
What is my biggest regret? I guess that I, waited so long that I wish I'd, we'd had discussions about doing therapy, and, I wasn't the biggest fan of that. And, part of that was, you're pretty particular about your healthcare providers and such.
I'm pretty about my therapist.
And you're in the industry. Yes, so like my pushback was like, fine, pick one and we'll use that person. So anytime we'd have an argument, she'd be like, why don't you go get therapy? I'm like, pick one. And, I was afraid to pick one because I was afraid that whoever I picked would, you would have a problem with. So,
well, whoever I picked was going to be someone I knew. So I wanted to make sure that it was someone that.
So anyway, so that was my biggest regret's not seeking therapy or, working with someone earlier.
Yeah. I also think too, I need to admit something is that I always had one foot out the door. Mm-hmm. I always knew that when Zach and Jonah went to college, when they were both gone, that I was going to leave. Yep. And I thought I had been honest about that.
Well, you had. I mean, you told me all the time, but
I'm out of here.
You also said we're going to dinner and would cancel it every time.
Honey, I don't like to leave the house.
How many times did we make plans for the weekend only to have them cancel?
You just don't believe I was crying.
So it was like, she says this, but she's not really going to do this. So, you're relatively impulsive, and I think you
better now.
Better, yeah. And anyway, so I was just like, whatever. I mean, like tomorrow it'll be a different thing. So yeah.
But I
didn't take you seriously.
You didn't take me seriously, but I actually took offense to that. Like I thought that you didn't respect so it was almost like I wanted to prove to you that I was going to leave.
Oh, you proved it.
I'm like, I'm out of here, bitches. Mm-hmm. So like to me, I was like, you know what? I'm gone. And I think that now, and you'll hear the episode. You haven't heard it yet because it comes out Thursday on my birthday. So this is pre that, but, I'm like, I'm in it. I'm not going anywhere.
Yep.
I'm here to stay, and we're working on things, and, we do check-ins at night, and shit's just really different. Like, I feel like it's really different. Like, I had to like go through what I went through to realize that like, you're it for me. Like, this is it, so everyone, this is it.
Supposedly.
No, excuse me. So rude. So I was going to ask you about like what your advice was. You gave advice to people. You did good. What else? You got anything else? We talked about couples therapy.
No data for now.
I mean, one foot out the door. I think we did good. If people have questions, I just think this is like really important.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest lesson, you've got a question there, but the biggest lesson is really just, to listen to your partner and try to understand that, it's you and your partner versus the problem, not you versus each other. And
look at you.
we would
Look at
frequently we would frequently fall into that trap.
Yeah.
And I definitely, I'm a facts guy, and I would definitely try to prove that I'm right, regardless of whatever
You
it was.
love to be right.
And and you often said, I'd rather be right than be happy, but I'm happy when I'm right. So I would fight to to be factually correct. And
but even with people's emotions.
Yes.
So
and you can't, it's tough you can't argue, at least successfully, you can't argue people's emotions and whatnot. And,
right.
And frequently you were hurt, and like it was more important to me to say, that, I didn't mean it, or that's not what, you can't be hurt because of X or Y. And, that's just a recipe for disaster. So the biggest takeaway is you guys against the problem, and seek help. If you have the means to work with someone, it's good money. It's money
if you
well
can't
invested.
afford it, Gottman has tons of really
there's
cool
a Gottman app, right?
Gottman app.
We played around with that one a little bit. And,
Gottman cards or something,
Yeah.
and it's all free, and they talk about the 4 pillars and all that. Gottman, if you listen, they have a podcast.
Yeah, the tough is getting the buy-in, especially if you have an avoidant in the mix. Is getting that avoidant person to
really
buy
hard.
in to that. You can send all the memes and Instagram posts and all that stuff, and it's tough to get them to buy in.
It really is, because really one of the toughest things, I think, is the stonewalling and the silent treatment when you're dealing with an avoidant person. Is that an anxious person wants to talk. They want to talk then. They want to talk right now, about it, and they want to talk. They come in hard and they come in fast, and they want to talk and talk and talk. And the avoidant is naturally wants to pull back and wants to pull away. And the anxious person sees that as it just hurts them.
Just
so
triggers
them, right?
Yeah.
So it hurts them so terribly to be given the silent treatment. It is just the most hurtful thing. So if y'all can come to a place where it's okay for the avoidant person to say, look I need a couple minutes.
Yep.
I need an hour. I need to go to the store, take a breath, and come back. That's okay. And that works. And that's fine. But it's not okay to go away for 3 days without any word.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I'm saying? So those kind of things.
Or at least communicating that you need that
Exactly.
space. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think that that's really, really important. And Gottman has stuff for that and how to work through that. And, it's all about communication. And I think that we all know that communication is so important, but shit, after the year I had, I can't believe, I just can't believe as a coach, what I endured and what I put up with communication wise. It's incredibly, I beat myself up.
Yeah.
I did. So.
Well, I'm sorry.
Oh, thanks, honey. You don't have to be sorry. I don't want anyone to feel, that's the thing. You don't, people make mistakes. And like I said, I've said this a million times, everybody is not for everybody. Is that good, honey? Every person you're saying, there's a person, I don't know if there's a person for everybody. Does that make sense?
There's a lid for every pot.
I don't think so. I'm convinced that there are people out there that are just better alone.
Could be.
I just think so. I think that they're just not capable of they're not emotionally available, and they're just not capable of being in a committed relationship. They don't know how to do it. And that's okay,
Sure.
But just
until you're the victim.
Until you're the victim of the shit that you're putting, right? You see what I'm saying? But just own that shit. Own it. If you're better off being alone, you'd like to be alone and it's your thing and you do your shtick and blah, 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 then just own it and go through your life and be cool at being alone. Don't drag someone else into your shit. It's not fair.
Sure.
I'm sticking to it. Follow for more. That's it. Anyway, so that's that. Jim, what else you got for me?
I think that's it.
That's it. Oh, look at that. We're right. I always finish exactly 30 minutes.
It's not exactly 30
Almost 27 minutes.
Then you've got the pre-roll and the post-roll
I did okay.
and the mid-roll.
I did okay. I'm just so glad you're back, honey.
Yes.
I'm just so glad you're back. Do you believe in everything happens for a reason?
Sometimes. Especially if the reason is you're a moron and make bad decisions.
Me?
You, not you, the royal you. Sometimes, yes, stuff does happen for a reason. When you're stupid and make stupid decisions, then
I think we both kind of.
Then yeah, so things happen for a reason. But I don't know. It's I'm certainly not blaming you. We were both at fault, and there's a lot of things that over the last 5-6 years, I could have, and should have done better. And
me too.
I tried to work on those things and fix them, and hopefully
did okay.
Do better.
Will you come back on the show and we'll be funny again?
I suppose.
We did some great episodes.
Okay,
you'll come back.
I suppose.
What do you mean? I suppose I've got you lined up for a bunch of episodes.
What?
Yeah, I didn't tell you.
Oh dear.
Okay, we're gonna do call-ins.
Oh no,
we're gonna have people call in.
Okay.
To Jen and Jim.
I'm happy to give whatever poor information.
No, I think you give great information to men who need support, because I think there's a lot of avoidant men.
Yeah, I think
it is. I think
it is a somewhat gender-based. I think if you look at most anxious people are female. I think, no disrespect, ladies. And I think,
I'm none taken.
And I think in most of the avoidant people in relationships tend to be men. I would agree.
I also think this is very interesting. My girlfriends want your opinion. Like they call and they're like, no, ask Jim. Ask Jim right now. No. Just tell me to do this. Tell him what happened, and then ask Jim.
Give the guy's perspective. So, like, really, ladies, this is good stuff, because I really do think you have a different perspective than most men, because I think when you're hurt, like deeply hurt, mm-hmm.
like, you had a rough year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We both did. We had a rough year, and
absolutely.
I think it's.
And I tried to move on, and wasn't.
I'm glad you didn't, honey. I'm glad you didn't. I was so scared when you said you had a girlfriend. I'm like, I'm never going to get him back.
Well, I mean,
I know.
Snooze, you lose.
Oh man, you were tough on me too. I was nervous. But thanks to my husband, Mark, who stayed your friend.
That was great. The first time I saw him, he's like, "Bring it in." He gave me a big hug and stuff. He was just happy I was back. So thank you, husband, for that, and your kids for being.
No, how about
cool.
this? I told him. I said, "I'm like, no, I'm still in love with Jim. I know I am." Jennifer, whatever you do not tell him. You've done enough to that boy, that poor man. Leave him alone. I'm like, no, I love him. I still love him. I'm so pathetic. Anyway, honey, I'm glad.
There we go. I think we're over 30 now.
We're over 30. We did it. Ta-da! Okay, y'all. Here's what I'm going to say to you today. Be happy. Be happy. Find happiness. What else, Jim? Be kind to one another.
Yes.
I don't know. Just find something to do that brings you joy, and I don't know. Just turn off the television.
Turn off the news.
Turn off the news. It's just, it's
a lot of sadness there.
It's a lot of sadness.
And happy birthday.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. We're going to have a good trip.
Hopefully.
What do you mean? Why do you say that?
I don't know.
Why do you got to follow up with that?
I don't know. Fingers crossed.
What are you getting me for my birthday?
That's a surprise. I'm getting you a surprise.
A surprise. Oh, because next episode, maybe I can tell everybody. Are we getting engaged?
No.
I love you, baby.
I love you too.
Okay, everybody. That's it for today. Thank you. And make sure that you, do something fun today. And I said that already. And I don't know. That's it. I got nothing for you. That's it. Peace, love.
And truth.
That's it. Talk to you soon. Hey, thanks for listening to Doing Relationships Right. Don't forget, if you enjoyed the show, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast episodes. And please grab my books, One Happy Divorce and Woulda, Coulda, Shoulda, on my website, jenniferhurwitz.com. And look out for my new book, all about doing dating right, coming soon. As usual, thanks for listening. See you next week. Peace, love, and truth.